In a major shakeup within the U.S. defense establishment, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has removed Lieutenant General Jeffrey A. Kruse, director of the Defense Intelligence Agency (DIA), along with several other senior Pentagon officials. This move comes amid increasing scrutiny over the agency's internal assessments related to recent U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. The firings have sparked significant controversy, with critics warning that the administration is targeting officials who present intelligence that conflicts with the White House's political messaging. Kruse's removal was officially attributed to a loss of confidence, but multiple sources within the Pentagon suggest that the decision followed the leak of a DIA report that contradicted the Trump administration's claims about the success of recent airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites. The leaked report indicated that the strikes had only temporarily disrupted Iran's capabilities and that the program would likely recover within months. This directly challenged President Trump's public statements that the mission had inflicted permanent damage and significantly set back Iran's nuclear ambitions. The fallout from the report created tensions between the intelligence community and senior political leaders. The DIA's analysis, intended to guide internal decision-making, became a flashpoint once it reached the media. Administration officials reportedly viewed the report's conclusions as politically damaging, prompting an urgent push to identify and remove those responsible for producing or leaking the assessment. Kruse, as the agency's head, became the highest-profile casualty. In addition to Kruse, Vice Admiral Nancy Lacore, Chief of the Navy Reserve, and Rear Admiral Milton, commander of the Naval Special Warfare Command, were also dismissed. Although the Pentagon offered little explanation for their removals, defense officials believe these decisions were part of a broader effort to enforce ideological conformity within senior military ranks. Observers point to a growing pattern in which military leaders are sidelined for views or reports that do not align with the administration's public stance. Christine Bordine, previously the deputy director of the DIA, has been named as acting director. Bordine has extensive experience across various intelligence agencies, including the CIA and NSA. While considered highly qualified, her appointment is viewed by some as a signal that the administration prefers leaders who are more aligned with its views or more cautious in how intelligence is presented. The dismissals have drawn sharp criticism from lawmakers and national security experts. Senator Mark Warner, chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, condemned the firings, stating they reflected an alarming pattern of politicizing intelligence. Representative Jim Himes, the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, echoed those concerns, saying that punishing officials for presenting inconvenient truths sets a dangerous precedent. Both argued that the integrity of national security assessments depends on allowing intelligence professionals to present honest, unvarnished analysis without fear of retaliation. This latest wave of firings follows a string of similar removals within the defense and intelligence community. Earlier this year, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and General Timothy Haw, director of the National Security Agency, were also dismissed. Both were reportedly at odds with the administration over key policy and operational matters. Admiral Lisa Franchetti, the former chief of naval operations, was similarly removed after expressing concerns about readiness and global force posture. Defense Secretary Hegseth has defended the changes, arguing that they are necessary to instill a warfighter-first mindset and to reduce what he sees as an entrenched bureaucracy within the upper ranks of the military. Hegseth has initiated a 20% reduction in 4-star general positions and introduced sweeping cuts across senior officer roles. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence has also undergone staff reductions and security clearance reviews, which critics argue are being used to remove personnel deemed disloyal to the administration. Supporters of the changes claim they are long overdue and aimed at eliminating inefficiency, groupthink, and what they describe as political activism within the military and intelligence services. They argue that a realignment of leadership is critical to ensure that America's defense apparatus remains focused on mission success rather than internal dissent. They further assert that civilian oversight of the military is a cornerstone of democracy and that elected leaders have the right to select advisors who support their strategic vision. However, former military leaders and national security analysts warn that the purge could have long-term consequences for morale, institutional integrity, and international credibility. They argue that when intelligence is shaped to fit political narratives, it undermines the quality of decision-making at the highest levels of government. Moreover, a culture of fear within intelligence agencies may discourage professionals from offering honest assessments, especially on sensitive issues like foreign threats, military readiness, or the consequences of U.S. military actions abroad. This is particularly concerning in light of the tensions in the Middle East. Analysts say that clear and accurate intelligence is critical for avoiding strategic missteps, especially when dealing with countries like Iran, where miscalculations could quickly escalate into broader conflict. The removal of experienced leaders like Kruse raises doubts about whether future intelligence will be filtered to match the administration's expectations rather than reflect ground realities. Civil-military relations in the United States have historically been grounded in a balance between military professionalism and civilian oversight. While the president and his appointed officials have the authority to hire and fire, critics argue that undermining the apolitical nature of the military for political loyalty weakens the democratic fabric of defense governance. Retired officers have begun voicing concern that this trend, if continued, may deter future officers from entering public service or speaking candidly when it matters most. Meanwhile, inside the Pentagon, uncertainty looms. Sources describe a growing atmosphere of caution, where mid-level analysts and officers fear reprisal for producing reports that may contradict official messaging. Some intelligence officials have reportedly begun self-censoring their work, carefully crafting language to avoid political landmines. Such behavior, though subtle, could dramatically affect the quality of analysis provided to U.S. leaders during times of crisis. The firings also come amid broader changes to defense policy, including a push to withdraw forces from key overseas positions, a new cyber doctrine prioritizing offensive capabilities, and revised nuclear strategy emphasizing tactical flexibility. Critics argue that these shifts demand robust and independent intelligence support, something that could be jeopardized by a leadership culture shaped more by loyalty than by expertise. The removal of Lieutenant General Kruse and his colleagues thus marks more than just a reshuffling of top brass. It represents a turning point in how the United States manages, values, and interprets its intelligence infrastructure. Whether this will lead to increased control and coherence or to a compromised security apparatus remains to be seen. What is certain, however, is that the stakes are high, and growing higher as global threats continue to evolve.